Penelope Cruz just admitted the real reason she gambled her reputation to work with Johnny Depp again. And before her words could cool, Amber Heard let fly with a fiery comeback. Cameras were still flashing on Tenerife's sun-bleached seafront, where Day Drinker is shooting, when Cruz stepped away from set security and told Spanish reporters that standing by the people who once stood by you is never a risk. It's a duty. She didn't name Heard, but the subtext was molten. Minutes later, Heard's Instagram story popped up, a black screen, white text. History has a habit of repeating. No tag, no context, yet thousands screen-grabbed it and hurled it straight into the comment wars. The stage was set. Cruz's confession landed like a thunderclap because Hollywood still remembers the line she drew in 2020, when she filed a character statement defending Depp as kind and brilliant during his first defamation battle against Heard. At the time, critics blasted her for taking sides, yet she never walked the letter back. Now, 5 years and a $10 million verdict later, the Spanish Oscar winner is doubling down on the friendship that could scorch her spotless public image. Risk is the currency of Cruz's career, but this one is different. She isn't signing on to a sleepy indie that will vanish on streaming. She is anchoring Depp's first big studio comeback since he lost Captain Jack. Day Drinker, directed by 500 Days of Summer's Mark Webb, casts Depp as a weather-beaten yacht bartender whose flirtation with a grieving stranger drags both into a criminal underworld. Lionsgate is financing, Thunder Road producing, and Tenerife's Port Authority has fenced off entire blocks to keep drones away. The project is budgeted north of $70 million, and insiders whisper that Cruz's name, fourth time co-starring with Depp, helped unlock completion insurance Hollywood was too jittery to issue 2 years ago. Cruz knows exactly how loud the backlash can roar. Within hours of her on-set comments, legacy trades framed them as Penelope bets her brand on Depp. Hashtag Boycott Cruz jumped to 32,000 posts in 3 hours, only to be met by a tidal wave of hashtag Stand With Penelope memes celebrating loyalty over optics. Industry pundits point out that Cruz is one of the few actresses whose Q-score survived the 2020 trial unscathed. Aligning again with Depp could either cement her as the friend who never flinched, or tag her as the star who ignored red flags for a paycheck. The gamble is public, and the stakes couldn't be higher. For Depp, though, Cruz's loyalty is strategic oxygen. The first official still, released April 14th, shows him gray-haired, leaner, eyes iced metallic blue. A makeover fans instantly labeled, Captain Jack Goes Noir. The post racked up 2 million likes by dawn and triggered a scroll-stopping side-by-side of 2021's courtroom Depp versus 2025's lean pirate gone yacht rat. Comments flooded in. Salt and pepper never looked so dangerous. This is the comeback we were promised. Hollywood trades followed with glossy think pieces on Johnny 3.0, arguing that Day Drinker could be the career reset Disney once was. And Cruz? She frames her decision as artistic, not political. Mark handed me a script that terrified me in the best way, she said, hinting at a role that oscillates between grief and menace. But seasoned PR watchers note the unspoken calculation. Attach yourself to Depp now, reap the praise if he clears the high bar of post-trial forgiveness. It's the same moonshot Winona Ryder and Javier Bardem backed in their own character statements. Only Cruz is now staking box office capital, not just words. Yet the emotional cargo isn't hers alone. Heard's enigmatic history repeats post, no names, no hashtags, spread precisely because it was vague enough to weaponize. Fans on both sides poured meaning into the vacuum. Is she warning Cruz? Shading Depp? The ambiguity feeds the algorithm like popcorn, guaranteeing that every new set photo leak, every whisper of on-screen chemistry, will ricochet through fandom with the force of a fresh subpoena. All of it loops back to one magnetizing question. Why would Penelope risk the storm? The actress let the answer hang in the warm Atlantic air before slipping back behind the barricades. Because great stories choose you, not the other way around. Whether that sentiment crowns her a paragon of loyalty or a reckless gambler is now in the hands of the audience. And, inevitably, the woman whose single Instagram sentence just reignited the most polarizing feud in modern celebrity history. Amber's comeback hit the timeline like a flare in a night sky. Within an hour of that cryptic Instagram story, a follow-up appeared. This time an unfiltered selfie. Amber lamplight, no makeup, eyes glassy but defiant. Across the bottom she typed just 2 words, "I remember." That was all it took. Screenshots ricocheted through every Depp-centric subreddit and fan account DM chain, each claiming exclusive context. Some insisted she was remembering the island honeymoon fight cruise once witnessed. Others swore it pointed to an apology Depp never made public. By sunset, hashtag I remember and hashtag I stand with Amber were dueling for the top trending slot worldwide. And PR insiders were openly speculating that Heard's team had timed the posts to upstage the studio's tightly scheduled first-look push for Day Drinker. If so, it worked. Industry news feeds shifted from praising Cruz's loyalty to parsing Heard's pain, and the cycle's momentum flipped overnight. Yet backlash cuts both ways. Cruz's Spanish fanbase, fiercely protective since her Volver days, mobilized in an instant. They flooded the same hashtags with photos of Cruz attending women's shelter benefits, reminding everyone that the actress had previously spoken out against domestic abuse. The resulting war of receipts turned Twitter into an evidence board. One side reposting trial audio, the other reposting 20-year-old behind-the-scenes clips where Cruz praises Depp's gentleness on set. TikTok mirrored the chaos but amplified it with lip-sync recreations, split-screen commentary, and those hyper-edited explainers that cram 5 years of court filings into 60 seconds. By morning, casual viewers who barely tracked the trial were suddenly up to speed, emotionally invested, and ready to pick a side. Exactly the polarized attention algorithm designers dream about. While the fandom sparred, Hollywood's risk calculators worked overtime. Talent agencies rang crisis PR firms asking 2 questions. Can Penelope survive a fresh round of backlash, and if she does that mean it's finally safe for our clients to work with Depp? One veteran strategist, speaking off record, framed it this way: if Cruz comes out clean, the stigma dissolves. If she gets scorched, everyone stays away another year. Studios have quietly tested Depp's crowd pull in international focus groups for months, but those surveys never account for the grenade impact of a single Instagram swipe up. Now, insurance underwriters, already skittish, began recalculating premiums on projects rumored to feature Depp in 2026. One proposed Gothic Western lost its provisional bond entirely by noon. Another Caribbean adventure pitch was shelved before it hit an executive's inbox. Depp's comeback wasn't just riding on Day Drinker. It was leveraging every prospective franchise looking for a bankable rogue. Cruz's statement had pumped oxygen into that ecosystem. Heard's 2-word salvo threatened to light another match. Inside the Day Drinker bubble, production locked down. Cast and crew surrendered phones at check-in. Non-disclosure clauses were red-penned for fresh signatures, and a closed-set memo banned visitors not on the call sheet. Yet even barricades can't muffle whispers. A hairstylist told a Canary Islands gossip blog that Depp seemed lighter after Cruz's defense, until the Heard post hit. Then, she said, he got quiet. Not angry, just quieter. Meanwhile, Cruz reportedly doubled her security detail. The resort housing principal cast erected temporary canvas tunnels so they could travel from hotel elevators straight into chauffeured vans without facing paparazzi lenses. The visuals alone, tents, guards, frantic assistants clutching black umbrellas in the subtropical sun, only intensified speculation that something explosive was brewing behind the scenes. Interview shows seized the moment. Morning talk programs framed segments as Penelope versus Amber rather than Depp's comeback. Because conflict is ratings gold. Panelists dissected Cruz's loyalty in terms of Spanish cultural values, turning her into a case study in Mediterranean honor codes. Psychologists weighed in on why Heard's minimalism, a single sentence, no direct call-out, can often sting harder than a lengthy statement. By the time late-night hosts mined the feud for punchlines, mainstream viewers who'd tuned out after the verdict were pulled right back into the drama. Every joke, every faux-serious monologue spent on the trio guaranteed more YouTube reaction videos, more TikTok stitches, and more opportunities for your channel to ride the current. And that's the hidden engine of virality: layered participation. First-wave coverage breaks the story, but second-wave commentary keeps it hot. Your video, dropping in this exact window, hits when the audience is starving for someone to curate the noise. Someone who can knit Cruz's noble but risky stance to Heard's cryptic warning and explain why both matter beyond gossip. Deliver that context with cinematic pacing, and viewers stay locked through mid-roll ads, share the link, and come back for updates. But the narrative doesn't end in Tenerife. 2 pivotal events loom on the calendar. In 3 weeks, Daydringer's cast is slated for a remote candidate with the Venice Film Office, live-streamed worldwide. If Cruz and Depp appear side by side, cameras will scrutinize every glance, every micro-expression. Will Heard's camp drop new intel that morning to hijack the stream? Fans on both sides already plan to spam the chat with heart emojis or pirate flags, depending on allegiance. Then, 1 month later, the defamation counterclaim Heard filed against the insurance companies that refused her trial coverage finally heads into settlement talks. Any leak from those negotiations could reignite courtroom flashbacks, reminding audiences of things they swore they'd left behind. Your viewers need to know these dates, because anticipation prolongs engagement. When they mark calendars to see what Amber does next, they automatically stay invested in your update cycle. Industry analysts predict ripple effects beyond the trio. Agents for female A-listers are reportedly advising clients to pause any public Depp interactions. No charity galas, no backstage selfies, until Cruz's reputation trajectory is clear. Streaming giants, always hunting for unscripted docuseries, smell opportunity. Imagine an 8-episode breakdown of the trial aftermath culminating with Cruz's controversial alliance. Meetings are already happening. If even one such project gets a green light announcement, expect another wave of headlines pairing all 3 names under a single binge-worthy banner. Meanwhile, Depp's legal team, freshly reassembled since the Virginia verdict, is said to be monitoring social chatter for defamation triggers. They know that if the public conversation resuscitates unproven allegations, they might have to fire warning letters to media outlets repeating them. That kind of legal posturing generates its own coverage, feeding the beast. And because Cruz is now entwined, her publicist has quietly prepped statements affirming her anti-abuse advocacy, ready to blast if #BoycottCruz crosses from online noise to brand endorsement threats. The moment a fashion house hesitates to renew her contract, you'll see an official rebuttal, and the cycle restarts. So where does all this leave our triangle of loyalty, hurt, and risk? Balanced on a knife's edge and dangling above a media pit that's only growing deeper. Cruz staked her integrity on friendship, Heard staked her truth on restraint, and Depp's comeback stakes everything on whether audiences believe redemption is overdue. Some stories simmer for months before boiling. This one is already at rolling heat, every ripple sending new bubbles of content to the surface. For more of the latest news, check out this video.